Howdy, folks. Grace for purpose. I was hoping you would make it here. This was in California today. Scotts Valley, California. San Francisco's first tornado warning ever. Marcia, I knew you would be here. And hear you talking to me, Marcia. It's a Cal Fire truck. Oh, there's Cindy. Oh, liked and shared. Well, hop in, Sin. Let's go for a ride. Look at it walking, the dead man walking tornado. Howdy, folks. Welcome back. I told you I would be back. All right, so here we are with our thumbnail image right there. And I told you I would be back. So here we go with this and this up here. Hopefully you guys can see those a little bit. And while we're here, this is the spiritual day 12/14/24, and as you can see, it walloped on the weather, that's for sure. And later on in the spiritual report, I'll tell you what happened to me. I really kind of should keep it to myself, but it's so cool that I got to share it with you guys, even if you believe me or not. So, anyways, you can see what's going on right here. Bigger one right there with the smaller moon here, all kinds of other ones squirting out. So, what I'm going to do is see the little smiley face on here really quick. Here, let's just zoom into this really quick. All right. So, here's your spiritual event on the sun. Oh, right about there. Can you see this eye? Perfectly shaped eye right there. Okay, tilt your head to the left a little bit. Here's a smile, an eye, and another eye. There's a happy face right there. Okay, and when I tell you what happened today, it'll make you smile like that. Meanwhile, up here, there's something else going on. What looked like one round object also has three little components to it or something there. If you tilt your head to the right a little bit, it almost looks like something else. Anyways, lots of spiritual events happening around the sun, around the moon, in the stars, in the heavens, in the clouds especially. Okay, and that means storms as well. So let me back on out of this really quick and get this loaded up, get this loop playing. And while that's loading up, I take a moment to thank you guys for taking a moment of your precious time to be here at this channel and be part of this precious family. Okay, when you make it to the spiritual report at the end and something clicks and all of a sudden you realize how special this family really is and how special you are to me. Okay, whew, got that part out. Now I have it slowed down a little bit. Let me speed it up a little bit. Watch this one up at the top here. When it comes out, you can see all the plasma discharge, going along with it. Whoopsie. There we go. That's pretty good. Okay, so our main object, you can see the medium-sized object flow go over it right there. Okay, so that's why I kind of sped it up a little bit so you can see that flow just a tad bit. Go around that medium-sized object and the little moon ejecting out. There's a lot going on here in this whole frame. If it were like a clock, just pick a quadrant, 12 o'clock would be straight up and watch that area for the whole loop. Then go over to like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock and watch that region for the whole loop. And go down to 6 o'clock and just look around. You'll see that there's all kinds of other stuff going on out there too. Not just our main event, okay? What I'm going to do though is we're going to catch the opening frame here and try to walk through this, march through this frame by frame. Okay, so let me get a scooch for you guys. All right, so opening frame, December 14th, 2024. Here we are at 024. Okay, opening frame. Now let's pluck away. Note this right here. Do you see this bending of light? This is a stream coming out and totally arcing out here, going the other way, bending, and there's something here. This almost looks like some kind of craft coming out right here, dragging some of the plasma with it. Just back up the frame. Okay, so opening frame, you can kind of see it there, moving on out. Okay, our little object coming out at 6 o'clock. Then over here onto the right around 4 o'clock is this one. And you can see over here this big old ball of plasma trailing back. Okay, so you can see that it's taking plasma with it as it's going on out. Ghost image, you can totally see this little white circle. The little black thing is right in front of it right here. Okay, so the ghost image is right behind here. Really helps define sometimes these objects. Okay, and you see that little guy move on out. And then up at the 12 o'clock is another little satellite, another little moon shooting off. Okay, now here's our main event coming out this side here. You can see it as it approaches the sun, starts to interact with the sun. And right about now, where our smiley face frame was it that one? No, it's a couple more. Right about, well, let me back up one frame here. Okay, back in the background right here is our medium-sized object right there. And you can see the plasma coming out, going around it, splaying past it, okay? There's our moon is up here, so you see this stuff come up and arc and change direction right there to accommodate that moon, the magnetic field around that moon. And as we kind of march through this, okay, and it already kind of dissipates and moves on out. Note all this activity is coming out of this spire region over here. Like I said, they act like a magnetic compass needle. They're pointing at another magnetic field. That magnetic field is drawing plasma off the sun in a spire type shape, in a needle type shape. And when these objects finally interact in that region, and that's why I say you can tell that there's going to be activity coming up here in this region or this region. And sometimes it's in between them in the dark areas right there. There's Chris 603. I'm glad you made it back. Good, good, good. All right, so there's your activity. It's, yeah, Risk is here. Risk is your middle name, I bet, huh? Okay, so there we go. There's your activity, kind of sped up a little bit so you can see it a little bit clearer. Like I said, these things are hard to detect. They bend and absorb light, so they don't really like shine really bright, or like a star or like a planet would. Where'd the little smiley face go? There it was. Right there. Okay, and we'll zoom in. Yeah, let's just get really close up to it. Slide it over. Scroll up. Okay. Right there, I got my eye on you. Okay, see the little smiley face down below right here, two eyes and the smile right here in this white circle, and then there's the big eye right there. All kinds of crazy stuff going on. Is this sunglasses right here? A face wearing sunglasses right there. Can you see that? All kinds of crazy stuff going on in there. Yeah, this would be one sunglass or one side. The other lens is over here. Here's the nose in the middle, mouth down here, the beard coming down. Right there's a face. That's wild. That's a spiritual realm right there. There's your spiritual event going on right next to the sun. Okay. And I bet you if we tilt it, there's multiple faces in multiple dimensions. I invite you to come over to this instrument and check it out yourself, okay? This is not me producing these images. This is NASA's satellites detecting, well, what they detect. And for those with eyes that see, well, you can see other stuff that they're detecting that's maybe not catching their eye so much, okay? So pretty strange stuff going on these days, all right? And then when you see these little faces and stuff all over the place, okay, and I tell you later on in the spiritual report what happened to me today, it'll maybe be a little more plausible. There's another profile face. Here's a nose with an eye here. Look right there. So as you kind of tilt this, different things come into view. Oh, look at this face over here when we tilt it. And that's a good test too, to see if there really is a true face or a structure there, is to kind of tilt it back. If you have a laptop, that's one of the things I like to do. You see how I do it here. Okay, it helps you kind of see stuff that's, well, in a different spectrum, different perspective, different dimension, all that great stuff. Okay, so got my eye on you. All right, let's continue on here. Slide on over back to the center. Okay, so there's your crazy activity going on around the sun, signs in the sun, right? Here, before I start this up, yes or no? Signs in the sun. As promised in the Bible, there will be signs in the sun, moon, stars in the heavens. Well, I would consider that a sign. All right, so very, very crazy days that we live in. Okay. When you understand that this is all a spiritual realm event that's going on here, then your mind will be more open to see the actual events that are taking place. All right. Now, a lot of people will blow it off to coincidence or, oh, well, yeah, coincidence. We'll just leave it at that. And, not see that, hey, that was way more than your normal activity. All right. So it's way outside the norm. So it's paranormal. Okay. Which means more than normal, extra normal, paranormal. Okay. So we're seeing spiritual realm, paranormal activity around the sun, which should be no surprise to people who've read the Bible, okay? The only surprise is to the people who haven't read the Bible, right? Okay, now let's move on here because we got a lot to cover tonight. First off, up at the top, solar flux indice is creeping up. We're at 171 and climbing 7 more points up, okay? So getting close to that 200 threshold when we go into the red. Sunspot numbers is down to 86. So we're up 4, but still in the green at 86. That's good. 660 on your area. Just a quick peek at 3917 right here on the just about to round the limb right now. Okay, now what I believe is happening is some of these satellite moons and the bigger objects, their magnetic field reaches back. They collide with this magnetic field, causing roiling, or magnetic roiling, boiling, mixing, interweaving. I call it roil with just a ROIL, not boil, but roil. They roil together and cause these sunspots. And once our event happens and the little moons fly away, the sunspot regions decay and weaken, and we drop and gain sunspots. Now, just because these big ones are bigger and numbered, they still count all this little stuff too. And that's why when we come back over here, you see the sunspots 86. There's not 86. Well, they're on this side, on the side over here, and on the back side. Total number altogether is 86. All right. So every time we see a interaction with the bigger object or some of the satellites or whatever, then we drop sunspot numbers. So that seems to be the going trend. So let's just keep continuing now. All right. As you can see, let's see how fluxed we really are. Let's zoom in and see how fluxed solar X-ray flux was detected. All right. That's better. A little better for your viewing. Okay, so there's your bumpy ride for today. Okay, nothing too violent, nothing above M class, but still a bumpy ride. Look how when it gets low, it gets way down to the sea floor, the very bottom of the sea range right here, what I call the floor of the sea range, the sea floor. Okay, So there's Harley. All right, there you made it, bud. All right, so getting very low to the seafloor. So when we do have an event, it barely reaches M class. All right, so that's your solar flux indice being very low. Now it's crept up a little bit. You notice how the average has crept up here ever since this event right here. And now going into tomorrow, we've already had a little bit of activity. It's kind of descending, but we could take a peek at this if you'd like. But you guys never want to. I mean, every time I come over here to take a little peek into the future, all you guys that are into prophecy, want to know about the future, never want to see this. But we're going to look at it anyway, so tough. Oh, never mind. Don't look at that. Okay, let's look at it. Yeah. Next, all right, so here's your opening frame of 12:15, 036. Hold on tight. Everybody take a nice deep breath right now, okay? And, okay, relax. I think it's me that needs a deep breath, really. Okay, spider region, definite indicator that we're having something big coming, right? And the filament, what they call the filament release there. Look at this huge band of plasma. There's another little moon back here that's pulling it away and distorting it. Okay. Let me back up right here. Okay, wow. There it is. All right, so how am I going to capture this properly for him? Our object, here's the top coming around, going down around here. This is a different moon right here. Let's see if we can capture that. Well, you can see it over here on this side, this little dark patch too. Then there's something bigger down here. This is all splaying out around this with the little moon here, dibbling something. And then there's more. It's going around something back here. So, yeah, that's huge. That's one of the big ones, okay? And now, the only thing that could, like, affect the sun is something that's more powerful than the sun or something that's bigger than the sun, right? And that white circle on the red side over here is the size of the sun. The red thing is the occulter. The white circle represents the side of the sun. So let me just kind of put this into motion here. Whoops, forward and reverse. Okay, and let that play, and I'll let your eyes see here. Yeah, you can kind of, let me slow it down just a tad bit for you guys. There we go. Right there. You should be able to, ooh. Oh, yeah. So your spiritual event is still continuing, all right? And that's one of the bigger ones that, and that's kind of looks like it's coming our way. At least the CME section of it is. And let's see if they pick anything up on the tracker. See, we saw those little moons and satellites in the medium one. And now here's the big one right there. And those other little ones usually orbit this one, some out at further distances. And those are the ones we interact with first. And then as we get close, then we hit the medium, the big one. There's usually 3 big ones in a row. So there might be a second one. I see something back here coming over this back here at the very end. So we'll let this unfold. And boy, do we got a show tomorrow, huh? Look how it just over on the red side there too. All right. Well, aren't you glad we took a peek into the future, huh? All right. Nothing to see here. Moving on. So there's your activity. Even though it doesn't look like it, it doesn't look like we had a big X flare or whatever, but that sure looks like a healthy M or possible X flare. So, excuse me. Oh, whew. I was gonna pass on doing a show, but I gotta tell you guys what happened. So, all right, X flare potential 5%. Let's get through a geomagnetic forecasting all clear for the next 3 days. Luckily, whatever came out the 14th hit us a little bit and not very hard. So you can see we had a little pickup in our KP here. Meanwhile, your auroras, they're not yellow yet, but they're pretty darn green. All right. So they're getting into almost that yellow zone there. So right now, see how it says unsettled. So we are picking up right now. We are absorbing a little bit of geomagnetic activity from what happened on the 11th. Okay. Now I believe no matter what their trackers say, the spiritual event that happened on the 11th was definitely coming towards Earth. I mean, it's not heading towards Mars or Pluto. Why would it go there? So it was definitely heading our way, and we took just a little graze, a little bit. Okay. Meanwhile, your sunspots 3924 beta gamma, 20 and 17 both beta gamma. The only one that's growing is 3924, and that would be this one right here, center disk, and that's the one that just had the filament release that we just saw wrapping around the bigger object. All right, coming our direction, center disk. So we will be having a geomagnetic storm in about 3 days from now. Okay. And that would be, well, around the 17th. So this might change here in a few days or whatever. Meanwhile, let's continue on. M flare 2.1, but okay. I want to see the tracker, see if they're tracking that thing right there. And they are. It shows it going off. This one doesn't look, well, I guess object comes direction like this, hits this little line. See this round circle? That's just an orbit of the planet. But if we pretend like it's a magnetic field ring, right where the two would react, it's say an object passing this direction bumps this, boom, the spark comes out. CME goes away from us, but the object can still travel this way. And when it passes by Earth, if it grazes our magnetic field, we could have an unpredicted geomagnetic storm. One that's not expected. But check this out. Let's come over to this one because they're showing an impact here. Please, can we have that one, Lord? Give it a sec here, because all kinds of energy in this place. You guys are gonna crack up when you hear what happened. And I think you ladies will understand it a little bit and enjoy it. All right, so here we go. Here comes your NOAA forecast. Okay, this one's more showing directly towards Earth. Okay, this is probably our latest event. Impact due midway through the 17th, 18th. Okay, so pretty strong impact right here. Plasma density up to like 15 right there, they're saying. So we could take a good little shot on the chin right there, and said object passing by could bring some other unexpected geomagnetic activity. All right. And then also depending on the condition of our magnetic field at the time of impact too. So let's get into this article real quick. A filament eruption in the southwest quadrant this evening appears responsible for this coronal mass ejection, the CME visible in the latest coronagraph imagery. All right, so far it appears to be headed mostly away from Earth. So far, it appears to be headed mostly away from Earth. A click here for a video, courtesy. We could do that. All right, here really quick below is an updated look at the visible solar disk on Saturday, and solar activity declined to low levels with only minor C flares detected so far until this big eruption that we just seen here. So we're going to click really quick here and see if we can get just a nice little something. Oh, what you got for us? So magnetic field latches onto that filament, rips it away, lifts it off. And that was it, huh? Okay. Glad I didn't pay for it. All right, so let's move on now over here. We got to get rid of some of this other stuff. And do spaceweather.com. Dr. Tony Phillips doing a great job at bringing us information vital to this cause. All right, let me just kind of creep in here. Ooh, a moon. What are you doing? Moon coronal halo? There we go. Oh, it's because of the halo on it. That's why. That's what's making it not focus. Pretty trippy, huh? How that blurry image made the camera not focus. All right. Anyways, geomagnetic storm forecast. The geomagnetic unrest is possible on December 17th, just like I was kind of saying, when one or more CMEs are expected to pass close to Earth. One or more CMEs. The near misses, which is a hit because it nearly missed, that means it hit. And weird terminology that we have, but the near misses will probably fall short of sparking a full-fledged geomagnetic storm. Nevertheless, auroras could fill the Arctic Circle as far as storm clouds pass by. All right. So a full moon corona. Now, sometimes the best thing about a full moon, a bright full moon, is what goes on around it. Now, we have all these particulates in the air, all this volcanic ash and stuff, particulates, debris and stuff. So light hits that, bounces off, diffracts in different directions, and you get your spectrum of light known as a rainbow. And there's your rainbow or halo around the moon right there. Beautiful image. Rainbow is a symbol of the reminder of the covenant. And when it said signs in the sun and the moon, well, today we had a sign in the sun, right? And now we have a sign in the moon in the same day. Cool. I would scroll up, but it blurs the camera, as you saw. So now you can see some of the colors, at least the top part. All right. When you see things through spiritual realm, you're going to see so much more. I'm telling you, there's really stuff going on when you understand. Okay, we got to continue on. What I want to do is come over here to the Schumann really quick. And we don't need to. All right, here we go. Pretty good continuity. I mean, a lot of these little scrapes and scratches, you see them, but nothing too intense that's in the white, so there's no grinding going on down at the core. There might be a slight little scraping here and there, almost like, well, say if you had a bad set of brakes and you step on the brakes and then they grind, and when you release your foot off the pedal and you continue to drive, they're bad brakes, so they still kind of grind just a little bit. Just there's little spurs and little catches and stuff where it still catches like that. So we're kind of ticking along here. It looks like tick, 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 tock, almost like it's counting down. These little weak bands in here, that's not good right there. All right, that's where your magnetic field got really weak. All right, and your 7.83 hertz that keeps you sane when it gets weak, well, it makes people irritated, aggravated, violent, depressed, okay? Can also cause a lot of pain for people who have surgeries or metal screws and plates in their body like me. You can have a lot of pain. during some of these sessions. Either way, sometimes it's this. Different people have different reactions, but this is what's going on. This is the core spinning inside the shell, generating the magnetic field. That magnetic field hums much like power lines do. Okay. And that hum happens to be 7.83 hertz. And that's our Schumann resonance. That's what the hum of the earth or the heartbeat of the earth is. Okay. That's what our magnetic field. And when you see little breaks in here like this is where it got weak. Okay. We don't want weakness when a CME hits us. Okay. So any kind of absorption down to the core can cause the core in the shell to grind, cause it to get really weak and stop like this. Not stop, but get darn slow. All right. And get a weak field where it drops for a minute. If we get the proper sequencing, the first impact could weaken the field for the second impact. So let's just pray that that doesn't happen. Meanwhile, you had a pretty decent day. It's still kind of tick, 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 tick in the background. The clock's ticking in the background, and you can see it here. And this last reading is just a little white line right there, but not too much. Okay, so overall, pretty good day. You can still see this ticking going on. That means the pressure is there. It's just not insane and grinding like this. Okay, but there is still just enough to keep the boundary very tight between the core and the shell. That boundary in between there is just millimeters from one surface to the other. Okay, and they're grinding just ever so slightly, something ticking there. All right, now let's continue on. Let's get over to our null school, the school of the null. And there's your, wait, come here. Really quick while we're at this, your tropical convergence zone right there. Okay, still a little high right now because, well, La Nina is trying to take effect, but we got thermals on the ocean floor that are disrupting it, shoving this convergence zone further north. Now, the planet hasn't tilted or anything like that. It's due to thermal venting on the bottom of the ocean. I want to come up in altitude really quick at just a little that surface. We're up here at 850 millibars, and voila, look at this monster. This is a huge monster storm. I'm just going to leave it right like that for a second. See if you guys see it. Crazy. All right, so big old storm going right here. Here's our next one in the Pacific. Going to come into California, Pacific Northwest region, okay, and stuff. So let me just kind of get a little lower and get some of that white band area out of the frame. All right, so there's your storms right there. Two big ones out in the Pacific at this moment. And then let's look around. Big old vortex going on there. This one up here is a good one. Something going on out here in the Atlantic right there. All right. And, this typhoon down here just lashed this area. Like, just wicked. Wiped them pretty bad there. And we'll see damage out of this region here tomorrow. But as you can see, it's just making landfall right there, right now as we speak. Other stuff way down there, but all in all, just this big wicked thing out here. And then when we go to the thermals, we'll see it. Okay, see the nose? See the two eyes? There's a cigarette in his mouth. And that's what's causing this right here. There's a cigarette sticking out of his mouth, and that's Hawaii causing the drag right there. Crazy days, I'm telling you. Now, you ain't seen nothing yet, okay? Let's keep going. First of all, while we're here, let's go up to our polar vortex. We need to start checking in on this now. All right, now, wow. Our polar vortex, very organized now, very thick and broad And as far as thickness, and look at this, we come over here to the Atlantic Ocean. Look how far south the polar vortex is. Dang, look at over here. Okay, I'm just gonna let that sit there for a second while you guys ponder what's going on there. You got the polar vortex down to Florida. Crazy. And you can see this split right here. This sub vortex over here pulling some stuff away from the coast. You see how it comes down out of Alaska and then pulls it away from Washington. But this is way up there at the polar vortex. We come down in altitude to your upper jet stream. You can see it's all wonky right now. Okay, because, well, transition season. Well, we're going to be hitting winter here really quick in the next couple of weeks. So there's your upper jet. Let me show you the lower jet. Okay, this is what your storms usually ride on these jet streams. Well, it's a little different now. Okay, instead of the lower jet guiding the storms, it's actually being compressed down into the storm area, into that altitude, and it's conforming more to the thermal oscillations and conveyor belt structures that we see more so than the upper jet. So lower jets conforming to weather down below instead of the upper jet. There's the 850, and you see, okay, now when we get into the thermals, you'll see how it matches this up here too. So now let's get into our particulates really quick. We're going to do a sandstorm report. Okay, took off the wind. If you guys enjoying the show, I hope you do. Try to keep you guys' attention for boring subjects like this. Meanwhile, we have this huge sand plume, all widespread out, coming way up and acting like a wave and hooking like this wave right here. Look at this, cresting like a wave right there. All right. Meanwhile, very intense in the central part, very intense over here in Saudi Arabia, the Caspian Sea area, a good intense plume right there. And then, yeah, sandstorm going up into Siberia. Excuse me. I had me laughing deep. My goodness. And wow. Good thing you can't see it. Unless you tilt your head. Don't tilt your head and see it. All right, let's come on down here. There's Australia having their own independent sandstorms. Okay, so it's happening all around the earth there. Okay, I'll leave it right there for a minute. Let's see if you guys see it. I'm not going to point it out. You guys got eyes to see. All right. Meanwhile, a lot of you guys in the comment section are like, hey, you missed this face and that face and the other face. There are all kinds of stuff. And I go, yeah, I saw them. I just don't point everything out because I want you guys to catch some stuff on your own. All right. So it's not power suggestion or anything else. You are seeing the spiritual realm for your own eyes. And then I kind of guide you and show you some of the obvious ones. Okay. Here we go. Remember how I do the country divided? It kind of goes right there in the middle, doesn't it? So there it is, bleeding out on the right-hand side. Lots of SO2, very porous crust, okay? It's very spongy, has a lot of pathways through it, so it just bleeds SO2. Meanwhile, on the western half, it's more thick, granite, mountainous, so your perforations are more volcanic. So there's your country divided. It's like I drew that on the screen with my thing, huh? But nope, that's the way it is. All right, so sometimes when we get flare-ups of pressure, we do see this gas starting fires. So I'm going to check on any kind of fire activity. I don't see anything. Just one way up here. This yellow one right there, probably. But everything down in California after the latest round of pressure, all the fires seem to have kind of tapered off. We do still have right here at Malibu this SO2 emission spot. Okay, now this gas comes out of the ground super hot. You got to imagine this is a vaporized magma. This is the gas that surrounds the magma down below, so it's super hot. Comes out of the ground, 1,000 degrees. That heat can dry out any kind of foliage in the area and cause spontaneous combustion. So we're seeing fires being started from underground because of SO2 emission sites causing spontaneous combustion at the site. Okay, now as we continue, let me take the fires off because we're done. All right, so there's America. We kind of come down, look through Mexico here. You see that this all filling in. They're getting, a couple of volcanoes here and intense emission sites. All right, Cuba has its emission sites. Jamaica, you can see how the wind's blowing a lot of it down this way right now. Okay, we come over here to the Dominican Republic and Haiti. There's a site. And then all of these islands out here, all volcanic islands, are all emitting SO2. They're all spewing SO2 because they're volcanoes. And magma wants to come out of them, but the pathway up through the crust is so tight that only the gas can escape. Okay, so we're not seeing magma emissions, but we are seeing vaporized magma emissions in the form of SO2 coming out of all of these islands. Yes? No? Okay, good. Moving on. You see strong emission sites, top of South America running down. Now, back in 7 years ago, when all this stuff started, there were 4 little dots, like this area, for instance. These are all independent sites. Well, there are 4 little dots like these ones, not even very strong ones, that were along the Sierra Crest, okay? And I think it was BP Earthwatch that noticed it and brought it to the attention of the internet, and everybody freaked out and paid attention to it for a long time. Well, they all forgot and looked away. In the meantime, we have all of this going on now, and these are all independent sites. This is not a plume. Okay, you can see these are all independent sites. Used to be all filled in right here until we had a big earthquake in that area, and then it either shifted stuff down in the strata or relieved pressure in the area, and now we have not a bald spot, but a semi-naked spot right here where that used to be all filled in. Okay, now just south of that right here, this is the fulcrum point on the plate boundary where we have our weak spot, path of least resistance, so we see our strongest emissions out of this spot. This whole little 5-pack right here is a good judge of where the pressure is down below. So pretty strong right here. This one, not so strong up at the top, so that's a reduction in pressure. This one's always pretty strong. So as we come on down through Peru, you see all very strong emissions along the coastline. This relieves pressure in the region as well, keeping earthquake magnitudes down in this area. You see this big plume that's blown out into the Pacific. We always kind of take a look at the plume, see how big it is. It's organized, it's there. So that's a fair amount of SO2 coming out of that region. Now, right here, we just saw a 6.4, was it yesterday? Yeah, 6.4 in this region right here, okay? And that relieves pressure as well. This gas and that quake keeps your magnitudes down in this region. With all this activity that we've seen, we have not seen a major 8 or a 9 along this plate boundary because of all these mid-range releases and SO2 emissions. On over, stop off at Hawaii for a Mai Tai. Okay, there's, you can see Oahu's emitting more than, say, the other islands, but that's okay. We don't want a volcano going off there. I'd rather see SO2 emissions than volcano going off. Meanwhile, Hawaii, the main island, has volcanic activity sometimes and earthquake activity that's relieving pressure. The Pacific Rim, much like a bicycle rim, has a hub in the center, and that would be the hub of the Pacific Rim, relieving pressure in the middle. Okay, and we're going to back up 8 hours for their time zone. Drop into China here. Okay, the big bruise on the face of the planet. Okay, they messed up in a big way. All right, they worshiped their dragon, and now it shows. Also, their crust over here, very porous and spongy, lots of narrow pathways through it for this gas to, get pushed up through the crust. So much so that their pathways are turning into fissures, and they're getting straight line fissure type activity. And eventually water goes down into those holes, erodes them away more, and then gas comes up through, erodes it away, water goes back down through, eroding it more and more. And eventually this place is just going to dissolve and slough off into the ocean if they don't get on board real quick. Now, over here in India, you can see they're following suit here too. They're starting to look like China. It's filling in. This gas rotates around. It gets pushed up against the Himalayas here, and it can't make it over the top of the Himalayas, so it gets concentrated in this area. Also over here, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, all this filling in now. Okay, we got SO2 emissions as well as methane emissions in this region, and methane sparks on fire when it hits the oxygen. Coming out of the ground so hot as a combustible gas at 3,000 degrees, all it needs is oxygen. It doesn't need a spark. It's already at that temperature. So it hits oxygen and just blows up. Ooh. Whoa. Is that a wolf right there? I hear the nose coming down. Look, its mouth is open using the country. Here's the tip of the nose, the eye, ears. There's a wolf right there, dude. Oh, yeah. Or bear. It looks like a bear, too. What the hell? You can see, look, these are the teeth. It's crazy. Who was it? Somebody we were chatting in the chat room, and they were saying the faces in the clouds blending in with the land, and I have noticed that as well. And in in the trees, in your mountainsides, But there you go. For those with eyes that see. You can call Pareidolia, you can call it whatever you want. Pareidolia, Wolfadolia. It's more than a coincidence there, especially with one eye black and one eye white, and this filling in as the mouth. I mean, God's really got this way of you can tell his handiwork, right? It's just way off the hook. It's something that's just unimaginable, but it's really there, okay? And that's what, gonna have this testimony later about too. Is this lion over here too? Something going on in there? I don't know. You should come over here to this instrument and check it out. He's a wolf screaming lonely in the night. He's a bloodstain on the stage. Oh, look. It's a bear. You can see the hump in his back here. Hump in his back and then his body going down. And then he's even got a little beard. Crazy. And it's looking at this thing like this is some kind of mouse or what? What's this? An eagle? What? A bird or something right here? With a beak and an eye, mouth or something. It's about to eat that. And this thing's looking down like, uh-oh. It was a seagull or something. Wow. Wow. Okay. I'll let you guys be the judge of this, okay? That's why I don't point stuff out sometimes, because the power of suggestion takes over and then you can unsee it, right? All righty. Wow. Spiritual events happening all over the place. Whatever this creature is, it doesn't matter. He's looking at India. He's like licking his chops, about to eat a porterhouse steak here. Doesn't that look like a porterhouse steak? Wow. Okay, enough, Brian. Let's focus on the SO2, please. Okay, back to the report. I'm sorry. That's just for your entertainment, I guess. There's Taiwan. Okay, it's still got its SO2 emissions. Lately, very healthy plume coming out, emitting pressure here. So we haven't seen a lot of earthquake activity on this plate boundary on this fulcrum point. So a lot of inactivity as far as earthquakes because of SO2 and our new heat plume. We'll get to that. Meanwhile, Japan, volcanic island. Look at North and South Korea filling in here. Okay, they're turning all purple too. Especially the north, huh? Wonder why. Pretty obvious why. All right, up here by the Kamchatka Peninsula, we have all these volcanoes going off up here, okay, and a lot of SO2 emissions in this region as well. Okay, and the darker, the more intense. Now, I want to come down here to Java. Java region being our relief valve. Nice and dark purple tonight. A lot of SO2 emissions. Volcano going off here. Semeru every day. Mark this in. Semeru and Merapi both going off on this island every day. We have in the middle here in the Sunda Strait, Krakatau going off. All sorts of volcanoes on Sumatra as well. Okay, so a lot of relief valve activity going on right there. Then I like to come over really quick, touch base with this island. Okay, here you are, deep quake region, Fiji, Tonga. This is your new little island that just crested the surface right here. It's an SO2 emission site. See, there's no island, but we got a plume coming out. That was the new little seamount that broke the surface right next to our deep quake region. Right next to our deep quake region. Right next to our deep quake region. All right, back to this. Our pencil-shaped island with two good, strong emission sites. It acts like a leak in a bicycle tube and relieves pressure as it comes up to the plate boundary system at the and relieves pressure in that region, keeping earthquake magnitudes down and subduing a lot of the activity. Meanwhile, in this little archipelago, this little archipelago island chain coming down like this is full of volcanoes, also venting pressure, keeping magnitudes and activity down, earthquake activity down. Phew, say the same thing every night, huh? Let's change it up. Okay, here we go. Our sea surface temperature anomalies. Everybody take a deep breath and exhale. Now, there we go. Volcanic vents on the ocean floor causing all kinds of chaos. Heat plumes in the ocean, all right? Meanwhile, activity increasing around New Zealand, and we're having eruptions at White Island volcano now, okay? That one got added to the list, too. Okay, looking around, you can see up here in the northern Pacific, we're in the middle of winter time, or going into winter time, sorry, it's the middle of fall, heading into winter, and we're still having heat plumes out here, all right, because seamounts on the ocean floor busting open and, hot water coming out of them, hot water, steam, whichever. All right, now I want to pop in here to Taiwan on the plate boundary system, the fulcrum point here. See, we have this emission site underwater right there. It's relieving pressure in the region. It's a new path of least resistance. So pressure being relieved right here instead of here at the fulcrum point, and we haven't had many quakes there because of this. Understand how that kind of works? Transfer of pressure. Look at this little island, the very tip of it. Something going on right there. Watch out here, you're going to see volcanic eruption, or maybe there is one going on underwater right around there. Look over here along this shoreline too. Okay, here's Java. We've seen a lot of pressure released in this area, so we're seeing cold water inundation through the region. Meanwhile, here, just off of Java, right where the plate boundary runs, you're seeing these little cold pockets starting to fill in. So pressure is relieved in this area, and we're starting to see cold water inundation around our relief valve again. And if you look just south of it right here, you got this new opening, well, not new, but within the last week or so, and it's a new path of least resistance, stealing the pressure that was here, being emitted over here now. Look at the coast of Australia. Okay. Hot water next to cold water produces hot air next to cold air. Hot air rises, cold air sinks. Cold air rushes in to replace it. So we get our weather patterns now are following these heat signatures and causing these vortexes in our storm conditions. Cold air, cold water, cooler air rushing in to replace it. This is hot air rising, it cools, it sinks. And as I pull back, let me just try to kind of get a good, there we go. I'll let that sit there for a second so you can see how your heat, cold correlations are forming your vortexes, okay? So it's really the patterns on the ocean floor that are controlling the weather above the water there, okay? The craziest thing about all this is any kind of shift down below that, say, an earthquake causes a new relief in pressure and a new spot, goes cold, and or a new spot opens up and a new heat plume. Well, that changes the structure of these rotations and these conveyor belts, right? So we're at a point now where a earthquake could affect the weather. Do you see how that could happen? Yes? No? Maybe so? Yep. Anyways, there's your conveyor belt structures right now for the Pacific with this dude smoking a cigarette. Probably me taking a smoke break. Meanwhile, this boundary here that was coming down the coast and heading back out has broken down now, and you can see that we have a breakaway of air that's being allowed to come into the Pacific Northwest now. It's no longer rotating this direction and coming down. It's rotating the opposite and bringing moisture up into this region. So we're going to continue to see storm activity in the Pacific Northwest, Northern California. And we talked about severe weather last night that it showed. Look at this on the nose. Look how it perfectly fits the nose. Anyways, severe weather last night approaching Northern California, and I always talk about water spouts making landfall. Well, there was a tornado in Northern California. They had a first time ever tornado warnings in the Bay Area in San Francisco. So, all because of this latest setup here. Okay, let's take a little peek over here at the Atlantic. I'll show you their conveyor belt structure. And it used to be a lot more dominant, and it seems like it's slowly diminishing control, but it's still having an effect, especially right through there. Look at that, causing these two to rotate into each other, and then this thin strip right where these two air masses collide through that region. All right, let's take a peek down below. Oh, now you see the hot and the cold mixing together, causing rotation. All right. All right, there's that. Let me take the winds off really quick and get our earthquake report going now. USBS. At least we get some info out of them. Check it out, 5.2 right now, Petrolia, California. Let's get this map going right now. Bingo. For your viewing entertainment or viewing pleasure. All right, let's just start off with our latest quake right here. Right now, breaking news. We have, please, 5.2, you said. A 5.2. Ooh, look at the depth, 0.4. Tsunami warning. I bet because it's in the water, it's not very big, but the depth, that's right at the surface. 5.2 swell on this, 7 miles on their depth. Okay, so pretty shallow quake right there, right at our fulcrum point, right where we've seen a lot of our activity going on, okay? And let's come on over really quick to the heat plume in that area. Oh, yeah, my kitty's talking to me. Well. Look at this. This is as of yesterday. Okay, this map takes a day to update. So much data in it that this is yesterday's reading. So pressure in the region, you can see our fulcrum point coming off here. Mainly this area down below is why we were seeing quakes south of the plate boundary. All right, now you see this region up in here creeping up in there. So we've had an uptick in pressure in this region. Let's go to, scooch this over. Let me go back a day. Back one more day. All right, so this is 3 days ago, and we're going to go ahead. All right, so we've seen a decrease in pressure in this region, but that's of yesterday. It may have upticked and turned a little darker red today, which we don't have the readings for because, well, yeah. But maybe an uptick right there, and pressure has just cost another 5.2, okay, right at the surface, and I wouldn't expect a tsunami out of that one. Okay, always something interesting here. All right, also up here, fulcrum point, brand new quake. The fulcrum point inside the bay right there. 3.2 here at Alaska. All right. All right, back to our regular report. Coming into our deeper region here, where we usually start off, Fiji, deep quake region. We have a 4.5 down at 545. There's your typical mid-range 4 down at 545 that we're used to seeing. That usually puts magnitude 5 at the surface. Coming on down this way. Remember we saw this heat plume down here last night? Here's a 4.5. It's down at 472. So the same magnitude, a little bit higher in the strata. Here's 4.9 at the surface, your 5 busting out by the plate boundary. There's your 5 magnitude, relieving pressure at the surface. Right here, another 5.2 at the surface, relieving pressure. So a lot of this pressure came down this side of the plate boundary instead of heading up through this way. Also, let's come back over here. I want to take you over to that region because last night we were looking at this. Right here off of New Zealand, this little structure, this L-shaped structure right here off of New Zealand was this right here. So they're having emissions offshore, a lot of pressure coming up to the surface in this region right along that plate boundary. And then you can see, there's your corresponding earthquakes. We also have one on the other side, couple on this side over here on this plate boundary is a 4.8 at the surface, almost a 5, and a 4.7. So a couple of high 4s right there, relieving pressure at the surface. We come up through here. I showed you this region spewing SO2, relieving a lot of pressure in the area. Volcanoes through this system. Look, no quakes. Still. Every once in a while we'll see one, but right now, no quakes in that region because all the pressure valves being relieved there. But we get to this spot, there's a 5 at the surface, 5.2. Okay. Coming in here, 4.6 at 53, volcanic feature. Okay. Just off our deep quake region is a mid-range 4 at the surface, scrubbing energy. Plate boundary, 4.3. Actually, that's not on the boundary. That's a little bit further in. See these little seamounts out here? Something going on out here. Pressure underneath this little seamount. Look. See this little island right there? There's a whole foot right there, like this big triangle-shaped structure right there. And at the very base of it, down there is 4.3. Something going on, trying to break through the surface there. Or trying to come up, through that pathway. 4.8 here, scrubbing energy at the plate boundary. All right, very quiet through this region. We saw a lot of volcanic emissions, SO2 emissions. So no quakes through there. Let's touch base with this. Another 5.3 down at 46. So a few 5s today, a little uptick in the amount of 5s. Also over here, plate boundary, another 5. So a lot of 5 energy being scrubbed at the surface today. Okay, we come into this region really quick here. 4.7 down at 10. Okay, finally something up at the Kamchatka. 4.5 here down at 123. That depth tells you it's a volcanic site. Okay, so we're having earthquakes at volcanic sites. It's an indication of pressure down below coming up to the, trying to get it, make its way to the surface. Okay, let me just wrap up the rest of the globe. Come here, Lord. Please, let me have this. Yeah, we're having a little uptick in pressure off the west coast right now. So let me finish this up. Fulcrum Point quake 4.4 down at 35. Inner Fulcrum 4.9, 186. And down here, a 4.6 at 110. All right. Now, back up to our current quake activity here. We have another little new quake right here since. This is 2.8, and the depth of this is at 0.1. So it's just right there, right off the beach, right in under the water, right there. So this region, a little uptick in pressure going on right now as we speak. Okay, and or uptick in earthquake activity. Also, what I want to do here is go all magnitude because we're doing America. All right. We left off here, no fulcrum point quakes in a long time because of all the earthquake and volcano activity here on the Kamchatka. As we come into this side, though, we get 4.1. Usually we're looking around 3, maybe 3.2 in this region. So 4.1 is a little uptick in magnitude there. 3.9, a little uptick in magnitude there. Inside the bay, okay, you see how the bay itself is a fulcrum point when I pull back, right? Bingo. So inside the bay, the fulcrum point that's in the bay right there, 3.2, pretty close to the surface there. So pressure breaking out at fulcrum points here. Little new activity there, small. Sorry, I go fast. I'm all over the place. These ones just really quick. 3.4 at 20. 3.1. This, you can't see it, but this is kind of on the edge of a big fulcrum going down like this. So that would be like on the edge of a fulcrum. But this one out here in the bay, right on the water like that, that's your diverse quake. Let's go look at the heat plume in that area. Where was it again? Oh, up in that bay. See, look. Right now, up in this bay, there is no heat signature, okay? No pressure being pushed up right there. That's kind of odd. So, tomorrow on this map, we'll probably see a little red spot that grew here, maybe. You see this closest one is right here. But that's your oddball quake, your diverse quake, something that's not supposed to like really be happening right there. Okay, we'll have to come back to this later and touch base with these, well, ongoing quakes right now. You got 3 red ones on there, a new one on the inside plate. Okay, 1.9 at the surface here. This one, again, you can see it was inside this plate right there. Okay, so I expect to see a nice little quake swarm continue to go on there because our latest headline is a 5.2 right off the coast of California there again. And that should relieve some pressure right there, keeping magnitudes down. An inland push earlier today at 2.1. All kind of similar magnitude running down. I want to touch base with this out here. 3.6, the biggest today. 2.1. I want to see 3.4. I'm looking at depths. See, there's the 0.8. There's activity close to the surface here. You know, we look back. Well, let me try to go in a little bit. You can see this is a volcanic feature right here. This mountain is all made up of all cinder cones and lava. All right, so this whole structure right here, this mountain, there's something pushing up underneath it. Same with this one over here. that region. These two volcanic features. There's something moving around down underneath them. What's that? A 3.6. See the depth 8. So a lot of this activity is pretty close to the surface right there. But still having small quakes, still a little quake swarm, relieving pressure in this region. And last time we saw a big quake here and a quake swarm. And when this stopped, we saw activity pick up here. And they switched places. Pressure got relieved here when this one stopped. And then when one stops, the other fires up. When the other stops, the other fires up. Just kind of looking down here through our little pod area, eye-shaped structure. We have right on the edge of it, latest activity, pressure in the region 1.3 at the surface there. On the other side of that, just directly opposite the plate, on the other side, 1.7 there. So we're having activity out in this region again, right along this structure right there. Little quake out in the middle of it. 1.7. Let's take a little peek at that heat structure there. Okay, we had this little plume that reached up in there. You see the little dark shadow of where it used to be red. Okay, so it's diminished in the last few days. That was a little darker red. So pressure in that area has kind of lessened, or, lessened, I guess. We have a new, not new, but another relief valve, another path of least resistance around. So kind of keeps magnitudes down in that region. But when we do get a little uptick in pressure, we get some activity in there. Okay. Quick magnitude checks over here, 1.9, man-made perforations of the crust, nothing at the New Madrid or along the craton. So there is your earthquake report with breaking news, our latest quake of 5.2 right off the coast at the New Madrid fulcrum point. Okay, let's move on. Get the volcano report done, some tidbits, and then I'll tell you about the birds going nuts today. The birds are an indicator, and they were going crazy. We'll get there. Now, here we go. Let's do the stick. 38 and 34, 72. We are at 72 active or currently erupting volcanoes. All right. 7 years ago, when all this stuff started happening to me, there was one volcano. So the idea of there being 70, if I'd have told you back then, hey, 7 years from now, we're going to have more than 70 volcanoes going off, you would have said you're crazy. Well, here we are. 7 years later, just a short 7 years later, and we have 70 plus volcanoes, and I am so crazy about you. So let's get into this, shall we? Okay, Suwanosejima, let's just get it to, there's Semaru going off every day. Okay, Suwanosejima, its altitude, unknown OBS. Okay, well, Ibu, I be with you. It's 6,000 feet. Semaru, 14? Nope, 15 right there. So pushing maximum out of Semaru. It used to be 14. Now it's, beat its own record. Now it's maxing at 15. Popocatépetl above at 20,000. Santa Guido 13. We got Fuego 15. We got Reventador at 14.5. Okay, and that was just a... Do you guys understand that was just in the last few minutes? Okay, what I just read was in the last few minutes, because here's today, the 14th, which is now yesterday, because, well, time flies at this channel. The map of insanity. Don't get too desensitized by this map. This should just be a big siren, rotating red siren, like an old police car rotating the warning siren. Sheer insanity going on here. But look, all these volcanoes in this region relieve pressure in that plate boundary system. Up here in the Kamchatka, this is insane. We've got Shivaluz, Kluchevskoy, Bizamani, Karaminsky, Alade, and Ebico, all of them currently erupting in that place. That's another huge relief valve on the face of the planet right there. Okay, also Etna going nuts today, as well as more activity, Stravinsky and another volcano opening up there. And don't forget, look over here, we got these over here in the Alaskan island chain with minor activity. They're active. Okay. They haven't gone red yet. Okay. Yet. Keyword. Okay. Don't forget, we have currently erupting volcano on the continent of Antarctica. Does your news agencies know that? Does CNN and MSNBC and Fox know that there's currently a erupting volcano on the continent of Antarctica? Probably not big headlines. It doesn't sell a lot of commercial time. Sunosi Jiva, 6,000. I be with you at 7,000 now. Ooh, 70. All right. Semaru, 15,000. White Island, here we go. A new one on the list. White Island, New Zealand. Explosive activity continues. Another plume that rose to an estimated 2,000 feet. The elite that built their bunkers there probably going, oh, dang. 2,000 feet right there. Popocatépetl, 20,000. Santa Guido, 13. Fuego, 15. Reventador, Copahu, no emission. All right. All right. Good enough for now. Let's move on. Get the tidbits out the way. Oh, we need to get that out the way. Then we can do our tidbits here. You guys want a tidbit? Open wide. There's a little tidbit for some of you. Here's some models. All right. Here we go. Now, I have to repeat this again. Added ash and more moisture content volume in the water, or water volume in the air. More water is being evaporated into the air because of the hot water plumes, plus all the volcano emissions, putting all the particulates, ash, in the air, gives water particulates to adhere to. Thus, our storms are producing way more water output, whether it's water, flash flooding, hail, large, taller thunderheads, just crazy weather, tornadoes in Northern California, okay, making landfall sometimes. Okay, so here's your current conditions. Nighttime of the 14th. Right now we have this storm breaking into the west coast. We have this big front moving through here with little patches of icing. There's your morning time of the 15th. Noon, convection, nighttime. Okay, severe weather addressing the coast over here again at the morning. Oh, it kind of diminishes. Noon. Here's noon on the 16th. There's a good, you see how this is wrapping up? You can see the head of the comma right here and the tail dripping down. So as it starts to wrap up, there's your QLCS. Oh, your quasi-linear convective storm front right there. Okay, you can possibly see pop-ups out in front of that. That'll be the noontime of the 16th. There's convection or afternoon, the evening time. See how that organizes, all comes together. Lots of heavy rain, heavy snow, and that. Morning of the 17th. Look at this. Severe weather addressing the coast of Oregon. Right there. Morning time. All right. Morning time. This is cold air mixing with warm, moist air in the morning hours. This isn't convection because of the sun boiling the clouds all day to high tops. This is an air mass collision clear up here, not here. We've been looking at all these air mass collisions happening in this zone, right? Look at what's happening back here. Severe weather again for the Pacific Northwest. I would take this one kind of seriously and watch this because we did see a tornado touchdown in California today. These severe weather outbreaks addressing the coast when they come up can bring like a water spout on shore. This is the noon hours. So the morning hours going into noontime up here in Oregon, Washington, right up there. Severe weather, December 17th. There's convection. That's the afternoon hours still going strong up there. Evening time, you see this icing event going on in between the air masses, okay? So this is a battle going on way up here instead of down in the center. Now you see cold air, moist air coming in together right there. We're kind of getting there. That's nighttime the 17th, morning of the 18th. Look at this along the coastline there. noontime the 18th, convection nighttime 19 noon, convection nighttime 20 noon, convection, lake effect snow coming off that nighttime, morning of the 21st, noon, convection, nighttime. Look at how this thing wraps up. Watch out for that thing. But that's way out December 21st. So morning of the 22nd, noon. Again, with the West Coast here, getting hit over and over again. I'm going to do a different run on that one here in a minute. Convection, nighttime, morning of the 23rd, noon, convection, nighttime, icing down here possible. See how that happens. Morning of the 24th, noon. Look at this coming on the coast of noon the 24th. Convection, nighttime, morning of the 25th, noon, convection, nighttime, 26. Again, noon, convection, nighttime. Look out here, nighttime. This is way out there, but that could possibly activity like that. All right. Those are way out in the distance, so they're not as accurate. Anything after 3 days anymore is really hard to predict because we used to have a fairly decent idea how all this worked until all the introduction of ash and all the other things. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and start this and just let you watch the pattern. Well, we got to keep a timeline in there. So there's your dates up there. Let me scroll just to get. All right. I'm going to let that run for just a second while I take a sip and get ready for the spiritual report. Actually, I'm going to take a drag really quick off a cigarette. Everybody in the Pacific Northwest, these next few weeks going through this time frame, you have a head start right now. You have a heads up as to what's possibly coming your way. All right, now's a good time to start taking precautions, making plans. Are you going to be traveling in that region during that time frame, adjusting your travel plans and whatever you need to do, brace for impact in that region at that time zone? You saw the currents and how they're directing the new storm patterns. So we're going to see this atmospheric river hitting the Pacific Northwest now for a while. So, interesting stuff going on these days. Now, I'm not going to really do so much of a reading tonight. I'm going to tell you about what happened today and where we can start opening stuff up here. Let me just take you, to here. Pull up a couple of images. I want to talk about something that happened today. Okay, so let's just go to albums here. All right, where are the favorites? Here we go. So we're going to something a little bit different here. All right, let's pull up this image right here. You see this deer? You see the bird feeder back behind here? Okay, this is a little bird feeder, bird bath right here. There's a little view out my slider, right? Well, last night I put a little Christmas tree in front of this slider, right? And the reflection goes out in, it looks like it's standing out here in the patio. So the tree, it looks like two trees, one inside the house, and then the reflection off the glass makes one, looks like there's one standing out here on the patio, right? So earlier I got home from work and, we have a new dusting of snow in this region, okay? We have a new layer of snow, so everything's white. And of course, everybody insists on driving in the snow while still texting and still on their phones. It's unbelievable. and it's frustrating for me. So when I came home to unwind, I opened up the slider and I put on some Christmas music. Okay. Now I'm unwinding. I'm listening to Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree at the Christmas Party House. Well, I got the lights up, the tree up. This is a Christmas party house, right? So I see something like twitching out of the corner of my eye, and it's twitching to the music. And I'm like, what the heck is this? And I look, and there's birds out here on the patio, and they're hopping around the Christmas tree to the music, synchronized to the music. Okay, now this is something that it's going to be far-fetched and kind of hard to believe, but I showed you all this spiritual realm stuff. So these birds were moving synchronized to the music, every note. It got spooky for a second because there were notes that I'm like, how's it going to blend to this? And it did. And more birds came out, and I was like, what is going on? So I had bird seed, but it was empty. So I went and filled up my bucket of bird seed, and I threw some seed out there, and the music playing changed to a different song. Then it changed to Winter Wonderland. That song, Walking in a Winter Wonderland. And then one of the lines says, the birds are hopping around in their motion, whether they're pecking at the seed or stomping their feet or flapping their wings or flying across the back here or flying up from these bushes down below up to the patio here. They're all synchronized to the notes. The entire song, and there are sound effects in the song, and the birds would swoop by on the long notes. They'd be tapping and dancing around matching the song here, and then in the background where it would go woo, a bird would swoop through going woo. Now I've seen this happen before, like a guitar song where there's like a gliding guitar note that goes wow, and a bird flies by according to that music. It's like a synchronicity. It comes together at the same time, much like I tried to synchronize the music to the scenes in the beginning, in the opening of my show. Okay, so it's music choreographed with the animals. It was spooky because it was much like the movie Beetlejuice, where they're sitting at the dinner table. Deo, he's a Deo, he's a day, he's a day, he's a Deo. And they all start dancing. Daylight come and me one go home. And they have no control over their body. Something else has control and is making them dance to the music. And the people are looking at each other like, what's going on? Why are we moving to the music? This was much like this. The birds were synchronized, moving to the beats, moving to the notes. They were literally dancing. Now I'm thinking, are the birds hearing this music that's inside the house? And are they reacting to the music that they're hearing? It wasn't playing very loud. And I'm like, maybe it's me listening to it that's causing them to react this way. But it sounds strange, but it's a real phenomenon. I just witnessed it today. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because it was so amazing that at first it was spooky. It kind of cringed because every single note was there, every single step, and all the different birds entertaining the song, the words to the song. The Blue Jays come in first. They take the bigger stuff. And in the words of the song, it says, away is the bluebird. There were two Blue Jays, one on the deck and one down here. Away goes the bluebird. Here to stay is a new bird, and out from behind the snow comes a quail. Now, quails walk. They don't fly much, they walk. And it was walking in a winter wonderland. Each step was walking to a winter wonderland. And then, a bird would come in and land. Dun ding, like I was watching a cartoon. It was literally watching a cartoon in real life. And the synchronicity. There's somebody orchestrating it. It was orchestrated. There wasn't a note that was missing. There wasn't a woo or a sound effect in that song. And when we're done here, I'll try to post it or go look up and listen to the song Winter Wonderland. Close your eyes and picture this spot right here and these birds swooping around to the music. They were dancing to the music. It was like, it made me laugh. At one point, the way they flew and responded to the words of the song, dancing to it, at first it was kind of a creepy because it was so exact and precise, but then it was entertaining to see how it was going to fill in this part of the song and what part of the next part of the song was going to happen. And it was all choreographed, all by the animals. So God's working through the animals, choreographing. They're dancing to the music. I dare you guys to try this and see if it happens for you, because if it does, you're going to get a kick out of it. You really are. I just laughed watching it going, no way, no way. And through the whole entire song. So it started off with rocking around the Christmas tree. And what they were doing, like I said, the double image of the Christmas tree is kind of double exposed here. And they were underneath that and they were hopping around the Christmas tree at the Christmas party house. And that's what got my attention. So I threw some seed out there and the next song came on and they covered the entire song. Every single note. Go play Winter Wonderland and listen to the words, and you will visually see when you hear that song what happened here today at this site. Now this deer sneaks in to come and steal some of the bird seed, and I caught him. Aha, what are you doing? And he turned around. What? Oh, you got me. But this is right where it happened, right here, this little scene with the birds. And like I said, I've got a Christmas tree standing here kind of in the window, and a double image looks like it's out on the patio. So the birds got my attention by hopping around the Christmas tree, synchronized to the music. And I caught it out of the corner of my eye, like it was something twitching to the music. That was what was weird. That's what drew my attention to it. And then, wow. All I can say is wow. And, there are all kinds of treasures placed along our path every day. Okay. And I know that. And I look for those hidden treasures along the path. I knew today was going to be a spiritual day. So I was looking for it. Where's that spiritual event? What's it going to be? Is it going to be the big, face in the clouds or whatever? Well, today was snowy, so you couldn't see the clouds. So it wasn't a face in the clouds. It was something totally different. It was something totally different, way out of left field. The birds actually dancing and their motions, they're swooping. There's a part where the lovebirds get together in the song, and the two birds are down here on the ground, dancing, flapping their wings together like they're in love. It was like a true expression of nature, love coming through nature, something like that. I don't know how to explain it, but it was such a blessing, such a gift, and it was an honor to be able to witness it. At first, I was a little spooked because, like I said, it had the Beetlejuice type effect. Like when the music stopped, the birds kind of looked around confused, like, what happened? What was that? Just like in that movie Beetlejuice, everybody kind of looks around at each other when the music's over, like, what happened? How did that happen? How come I had no control? Something else had control and was making me move to the music. Well, when you're moving to music, that's called dancing. The birds were dancing out here to the music. It was amazing. I dare you, keep looking for stuff like this out of your animals, new behavior out of your animals like this. Yeah, I think it's just a regular, yeah, mule deer probably. We get a lot of them here in this valley, so we're in the transition zone between the mountains and the desert. So mountain creatures come down to feed in the transition zone. Desert creatures come up to feed at the transition zone. So we get every creature there is in this little transition area type effect. And bobcats, deer, all kinds of crazy birds. But it was so funny. The bluebird is gone away. There were two blue jays away with the bluebird. Here to stay, rounds the corner, is a new bird, the quail. And it's walking around like this. And in there, it says that it's walking in a winter wonderland. And you see the quail's steps to the music. Anybody else would say that was like a synchronization with the Matrix or something like that, right? Always some kind of reference to the Matrix. But this is not it wasn't like that. It's not a synchronization in the Matrix. This was more like a divine control. And it was purposely very, very exaggerated on display so you could see that it was unmistakable. Every note, every sound effect of that entire song and how it matched the lyrics was just beyond description. So I used to ski when I was a kid, and I would listen to music and try to synchronize my turns to the music. I'd pick my favorite song, and I would try to incorporate the music into my movements so it looks like dancing. And I took that effect into my bicycle riding, snowboarding. I try to synchronize my movements or my steps to music, to the beats of the song. Say if you're walking through the grocery store and there's a song playing in the background, try finding the beat and then matching your steps to that beat as you walk through the store, and all of a sudden you're dancing through the store because you're synchronized to the music. Okay, it was some kind of synchronization to music that was the key. Okay, I've told you about the code in the music. That song had the code in it. It's playing the message. The birds were rocking around the Christmas tree. Everything was there and more. That's what was so amazing about it. It was more. There was the music synchronized with the words telling the story, the birds reacting to it. The whole thing altogether made you just drop your jaw in awe that you were looking at like a real life cartoon skit or an act or something like that. It was very orchestrated, precise. And I would love to play that song for you, but YouTube doesn't like the music too much. So think of that song, rocking around the Christmas tree at the Christmas party house, and the birds hopping to the music, either flicking or pecking at the ground. Their motion was to the beat. And where there was no beat, there was no motion. It wasn't like, it was perfectly synchronized. There wasn't a beat missed and not a misstep at all. Amazing synchronization. And I dare you guys to start looking for this synchronization thing that's going on now. I think since this new spiritual event that happened or whatever, it possibly having, an effect in the spiritual realm in a different kind of way as well. Amazing stuff that I saw today. I wish I could describe it even better. I wish I'd have recorded it. I was going to try to go live to capture it, but I didn't. I knew they wouldn't let me play the music, and if I tried to capture it, the music would be in the background, and it just wouldn't let me play it. So it's frustrating, but watch for that effect. Okay, it starts off slow, like your favorite song, and somebody carries a note, it's the last note of the song, and they goodbye or whatever. And during that note, an animal will do something to that note, or something will happen. It's something synchronized to the music. It's part of the part of what's going on. Okay. So that's kind of the spiritual report for tonight. It was a little different, okay? But it's important that you guys, well, you can believe me or not. A lot of you folks have seen it now and experienced some stuff. And when you experience it, well, that's believing, not necessarily seeing is believing, but experiencing. So if you catch a little glimpse of the birds doing that or other animals reacting to the music like that, don't be surprised, all right? And just kind of watch for it. And also watch for those hidden treasures along your path, all right? All of your all of your difficulties, all of your adversity are challenges that you're to overcome, all right? You're not to avoid them. We're going through the fire, not around it, okay? So every time you overcome something, you grow stronger. In these last days, we're still waiting, okay? And while we're waiting, we go through each day, and not every day is perfect. Sometimes we're having success and we're having good days, multiple in a row, but then an oddball day comes along and throws a curveball at you, and you got to salvage that day. So, what you do is you regain your composure. You got to take a minute, step aside from the situation. Jesus, I trust you. Pray about it. Take a moment to get away from that situation, focus on praying, takes your mind off the situation, brings you back to here, okay, where you realize it's all part of your test, it's all part of the plan. And when you realize you see it from that perspective, it takes the sting out of stuff and makes your difficulties more bearable. And then as you go from difficulty to difficulty and you overcome them, adversity, you overcome one, you get a glory, you get an achievement, like a little gold star. Imagine your face here with a crown, okay? You've overcome the world in that situation. Do you understand that? You overcame the world in that circumstance or that situation or in that adversity. You overcame it. You didn't let it get you down or stop you. Okay. And it's not about your performance, it's about getting back up. How well do you get back up when you're knocked down? Okay. So, what if you got knocked down? And so, what if this struggle is hard? How well do you get back up? Do you get back up and keep fighting? Because that's what it is. That's what builds character, is getting back up and fighting and continuing to salvage your day. All right. Don't let this world get you down. Don't let it get you scared. It doesn't change your destiny. You're sealed. You're good. You found me. And I know everything about you. You're getting to know me. All right, this is the real deal. Everybody's saying the rapture could happen at any moment. Well, any moment. That's right. The word rapture is not in the Bible. But if you read it correctly, it says, when you see these things come to pass, look up. You'll see me coming in the clouds. Well, here I am, coming in the clouds with power and great glory. When you see this, it's fascinating. It's intriguing. You get caught up in it like a good movie or a good book. It takes you away from the world for a while, doesn't it? Okay, you get caught up with me in the clouds. I would love to come over and give you a big hug right now, but I can't. So I have to meet my family in the air of cyberspace. I mean, how do you describe cyberspace 2,000 years ago? Well, the only thing you could really say is the air. So we meet in the air of cyberspace, where here at YouTube, I've created a place that where I am, you may be also. You are caught up with me in the clouds. Okay, you are technically raptured. It can happen at any moment. There is no set day or time. It's basically the moment you believe me and the moment you trust me is the moment you're raptured, the moment you're caught up with me in the clouds. Okay, that's up to you. That moment is up to you. It's not a set date and time. That's why it says there, don't look for a date and time. It's your decision. That's the date and time is when you finally decide, hey, I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to give this guy a chance. I think I hear something in there. There's something about this that kind of I'm finding success in salvaging my day. And each time you do, you go from glory and you salvage another one. That's another glory. And you salvage again on the same day. 3 in one day is pretty good. So you just went from glory to glory to glory while in your tribulation, right? That's how this works. Each day, as you overcome, I make a collage like this of all your successes, of all your victories. Okay, I know what to do with your adversity. So the sooner you just face it and try to overcome it, the better off you be. And then you keep practicing this discipline each day, and the more success you find, the better you get at this. It's just like practicing a musical instrument. You can't just pick it up the first day and be an expert. You have to practice over and over and over and over again. And then you know how it works. You'll understand it and you'll be an expert at it because you have experience. So when tough times come, because they will come to everybody, okay, you'll be able to handle the situation much better than anybody else. Okay, you'll know what to do. It might take a few, God grant me the serenity to accept the situation I'm in. You can take that prayer and twist it and make it what you need it to be. As long as you're trusting in that it's going to work and that you're going to look for results, look for the answered prayer, look for that hidden treasure. Okay, when you know it's out there every day, just because today was the 14th in a specific spiritual event, it does not mean every day is like. Every day has spiritual events all over the place. So many that you can't even catch them all. All right, but the ones that you do recognize and the successes that you have, a simple thank you opens the door even more. Okay, you guys are indeed finding the success. You are having victory. You are overcoming the world. Okay, the world is the media and this fake reality they got everybody in, not the planet, but the actual world, the world of men, the world, our society. Okay, you're overcoming those adversities each day with a new headline thrown at you. Now there's UFOs all over the place. Damn right, there's UFOs all over the place. Somebody important's here. It's not the UFOs you should be looking at. It's what's going on in the skies behind them. I showed you the UFOs streaking through the lion face right under the nose. A lot of this UFOs is angelic activity. Okay? And demonic as well. It's all the spiritual realm, okay? Because, well, what's going on, the time frame we are in, and because of who I am. You are in the presence where you can find the peace that transcends your circumstances. Okay? You guys are doing well. It's not about you got kicked down. It's how well do you get back up. Brush off the dirt and keep going, okay? Because when you do that, you brush off the dirt and you get back up off the ground, that's a victory, okay? And it might be brutal and painful or arduous and irritating at sometimes, but when you finally do find that peace again after that incident, then you can move forward and bring that light and that peace into other people's lives. Okay. And I know sometimes we make mistakes and we're high stress because of the holidays and we snap at a loved one. We have pent up stress and all of a sudden you're doing great all day. You salvage this, you salvage that. You're feeling in a great mood. And then on the third one, you blew it and you snapped at somebody and you're like, oh, all that went down the drain. No, it didn't. There are no mistakes. There are only opportunities to grow. So you got the two, you didn't get the third, but wait, you did when you finally realized your mistake and overcame it and refused to let it get you down. You got back up off the ground, and so you salvaged the third one. And that's what you're doing. You guys are really doing it too. And you're really seeing the results. And that's why you keep coming back here, because you're part of this family. You really are. Ah, the Winter Wonderland song. Go, you know, a little advice really quick. This is just something that works for me. When the world gets me stirred up and I'm a little agitated or whatever, to do my little breakaway, I'll put on right now is Christmas music. And when it's snowy outside or there's lights on or something, some cheerful, good old like 50s, 60s, just the classic. It almost sounds like a Hollywood movie type orchestra music. All right. The old classic holiday tunes sometimes can bring a different spirit inside of you that is more uplifting and joyful. It takes you away from your circumstances. So sometimes if the world's getting to you, a little bit of Christmas music to lighten up the holidays a little bit. Take a look at the tree and the gifts and enjoy the beauty for a moment, and remember what the holiday's really about. And the best gift you have already. You got an early Christmas gift, all right? That's it for tonight. I gotta go. I got a long day tomorrow, but I'll try to make it back for another show, okay? So, for those of you who are caught up with me in the clouds where we meet in the air, or I made a place where we can meet, well done. Well done. You are raptured. You're caught up in the clouds. Okay, that's it for tonight. Love you all. I miss you all. And until my next show, I will be back. I am a man of my word. I will be back. Love you all. Bye. Wait. I want to thank Jasmine Hopkinson, Nicholas, Marcia. I love you, darling. Keep up the good work. Nicholas, Ruby. Oh, Michelle was here. Grace for Purpose. Ooh, Pooh Bear loves Jesus. Aw, Jesus loves Pooh Bear. All right, thank you for being here. Let's see, Grace for Purpose. Cool. A couple of new names here. Good. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed the story about the birds. Look for that kind of synchronicity happening with your animals or whatever. It might start off slow or small, but once you see it and you recognize it, go, hey, that was what he was talking about. It just happened right there. And then when that does happen, say, oh, thank you. I saw that. And then it'll happen more for you. It opens up the door so you can see more, so you can hear more, so you can grasp a hold of this foundation and hold on to it and build on it, lean on it. That's what it's there for. Okay, that's it. I love you all. Miss you all. Until my next show, I will be back. I love you all. Bye.